I spent about half of the 2020s hosting a podcast called Delayed Replay, recapping and reviewing movies that came out on time in my universe but got delayed in that other universe. And as such, the movies as they were in my universe came out differently. Some listeners not of this universe even think that this is an improvised comedy podcast. And hey, let them think what they want. It's entertaining either way, right? I'm Steven Shinder, and you're listening to Delayed Replay Season 6. Hashtag 6 seasons about movies. New episode every other Saturday. Unless I say otherwise. Hello everyone. Decided to put out an episode 1 week after the previous one for a change. It's also an off week for South Park. They took a break for a week, so I guess now you get this episode instead. But yeah, it was ready and it felt like a good time to release it. And the next episode will come out 2 weeks after this one, as the release schedule is usually like. But without further delay, enjoy the show. Hello, listeners. Welcome to I, I don't know why after like 6 consecutive years of doing this, I just fumbled it just then. But welcome to another episode of Delayed Replay, that podcast where we recap and review movies that got delayed in that other universe but came out on time in our universe, or maybe in this case came out on time but is different because the first movie was kind of different over here. So joining me again for yet another DreamWorks movie, because last time he was on here was for The Wild Robot, and now we're talking about The Bad Guys 2. It is Max. I couldn't remember if you want to like first and last name, but yeah, go ahead and do your thing, say a thing. How are you?
Yeah, no worries. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, it's always the animated pictures that you've got for me. It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, have we not done like a live action discussion together?
I think we did
Oh
Coyote
yeah,
versus Acme, which I
yeah,
guess is like a combo.
yeah. And
Have we
hey,
done
in that other
what
universe, they're finally releasing it next
they're
year.
finally getting it out? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think we also talked about Super Mario Brothers 2. Like there's that other universe where it came out and we like
Yes.
listened to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did Super Mario Bros., which was the live action Super Mario Brothers with the underwater Lawrence Fishburne, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Um
Whose birthday is today as of when we're recording.
Oh, well there we are. There we are.
Yeah. How much did you enjoy the first movie before we go into this one?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I watched it on a plane. And it felt like the perfect kind of plane movie. Gets you uh, uh, 90 minutes further into the journey. Um, it's not too, it's not anything groundbreaking, but just kind of a fun heist movie. Does the trick. Some nice animation here and there. Um, yeah, I don't feel like I have very strong opinions about it either way.
Man, how do you navigate on the internet without having a strong opinion about anything, you know?
I know. That's why I can't go on Twitter. It's just like I don't think I care this much, guys.
I mean that's a hellscape by this point.
Yeah. I look at every time I open it up, I'll see like a tweet by Alban White and just close it down again. Because that man has some unhinged opinions. Uh,
Damn.
it
But
helps to keep me sane. Um, Yeah, go on.
Yeah, you look at those tweets and you're like, well, at least I'm not one of the bad guys.
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and luckily I'm not one of the bad guys too. So the listeners are in good company here.
Ah, I see what you did there, Stephen.
Yeah. But yeah, last time when we talked about the wild robot, we were sort of talking about DreamWorks making changes, and over in this universe, the bad guys won from like 4 years ago, I think it was. That one was
Mm.
like 2D animation, kind of in the style of the books. What'd you think of the animation for this one, for this sequel?
Yeah, again, I think that they're going for that similar kind of Spider-Verse cartoony, um, quite silly look. I quite like that they're going in that direction generally, especially with, technologies like AI, which I think struggle to replicate that kind of style because it requires a great deal of thought in terms of like how you're going to approach motion, what you're going to emphasize, what you don't emphasize. And I think in a day and age where imagery is becoming a little bit more like that focus towards hyperrealism and that focus towards um I don't know, just AI aesthetics in general. I think it's important that the animation industry in general is pushing towards a style which feels like animation, that celebrates the medium for what it's capable of. So yeah, I quite I like that this is the general direction um of the studio and of the industry. And maybe like a little bit less. I've heard that this so the while we were talking about the Wild Robot and how that was the last in-house like original film that DreamWorks were doing. And this film, I believe it was the animation was completely outsourced. I'm not sure to who, but um, yeah, it's a shame that this is kind of the direction that these studios are going. Um, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah, I have occasionally wondered with like the Spider-Verse style if it's something that could get old within a couple years. I mean, maybe people already feel it, but with the number of movies that have done it, like Ninja Turtles Beat to Mayhem, stuff like that. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. I really don't know like how much of that style is too much to the point where it'll feel old, or if it'll just feel like
yeah.
the new normal and people are just whatever about it and just still go and see movies that are like that.
Well, the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles film felt like it had its own kind of slant on things, with the sort of much more grotesque, I guess, designs that film
Yeah.
was going for. Like
Yeah,
it,
that
like all
that
the
that
character
movie.
designs are just unhinged, and I really appreciated that it was just like there was a commitment to ugliness.
Yeah, I mean that movie also committed to like gross out humor, which was
Yeah.
really off-putting to me, to be honest.
Oh,
Um,
fair enough.
but
Yeah.
um, but
No, there were
yeah,
things that I
it
really
does make
liked
it more
about the
unique.
film.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like it was its own thing. But yeah, no, I get what you mean. A counterpoint to that might be that like a lot of these principles are just kind of being based on like Into the Spider-Verse wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel. It was taking things that were being done in 2D animation and just a kind of applying them to 3D. And I guess like Spider-Verse is maybe a little bit more unique in terms of it's going for that more comic book kind of feel. Well, a very distinctively kind of comic book look, which other films that are kind of branded as being Spider-Verse style, they're not going for that same like comic book approach. So I think there is like even within that genre or that category of films that have very clearly been visually influenced by Spider-Verse, um, I think there's still a lot of diversity in how those films look and a lot of intentionality. I mean, even just in terms of the bad guys, I was just kind of looking at the Wikipedia page before we started. And it was saying, it had certain kind of certain Japanese influences like Sherlock Hound and Lupin the Third, which you can see a lot of Lupin the Third um, in kind of the approach to how they're doing things. So I think to some extent, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. If every animated film looks like Spider-Verse, we might get to a point where we feel a little bit sick of it. But I don't think it's maybe that simple. And I also think the fact that animation has kind of been doing that before Spider-Verse makes me feel like this is fine. I'd rather films look like this than I don't know, Illumination films. You know what I mean? Like, we're, yeah, it feels like we're in a new. I mean, AI. That's the first thing AI is going to come for. It's going to be the Minions. Minions 6. It's going to be all AI, Stephen. I'm telling you, the kids don't
Yeah,
care.
and it's gonna suck.
It's going to suck. But they always have. That's the issue. It's like if it already sucks, then it might as well suck a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the internal mantra probably for the Fast and Furious movies, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's already dumb. Let's go a little bit dumber.
Yeah. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Sherlock Hound. A few years
Mm.
ago, I think watched the first few episodes of it,
Hmm.
and I was thinking to myself, yeah, I'm gonna alternate between this and watching Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century, which I've heard is cool,
Okay.
and then I forgot and just didn't continue either one.
Yeah, no, Sherlock Holmes is something I've heard of, but not really kind of delved into. Um, but I'd love to at some point. I think I did a similar thing with Lupin, actually. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna watch this. I really enjoy this, and then maybe got like 10 episodes in and forgot about it. But is it Castle of Cagliostro, the Hayao Miyazaki. Have you seen the Miyazaki film?
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's really good. It's really, really the whole thing begins with this like car chase sequence and like all of the characters are just like slightly too big for the cars. And it's almost like a clown car sort of situation.
Yeah.
And they're like going up on it's that very like very much like uh it's going for something that uses animation in that very like cartoony, you couldn't do this in, but there's some amazing, amazing action sequences in that film. I gotta rewatch it at some point. But yeah, it's like I think it's before Ghibli. It's one of his pre-Ghibli films.
Okay.
Um, yeah, worth a watch though.
All right. I'll have to look into that. But speaking of car chases, this movie begins with a sort of prologue before like jumping ahead to like 5 years later. So it shows the bad guys back when they were bad guys and they break into this place with like an expensive car that's being displayed and they like hotwire it and steal it. Well, what'd you think of this opening scene?
Well, so we get um really just this laying the groundwork for the rest of the film. The car that they end up stealing. Beautiful. sort of muscle car ends up uh being owned by one of the bad girls, which we find out later about. Um, those are the characters that then kind of set the events of the film going. But it's a car that they'd stolen, so they were stealing from the thieves, almost a sort of Robin Hood type thing. Um, so it sort of it sets the grudge in motion, right? We understand sort of some of the motivations for everything, and then you also get quite a fun pulpy action sequence to start your film off with.
Yeah, there's even a moment during this chase where they drive into a roller rink to try shaking off the police, and it's like
Yeah.
you're almost running over these innocent skaters. Like, what are you doing?
I didn't know they still had roller rinks, Stephen.
Yeah, I remember in elementary school, we'd occasionally take a field trip there, like probably like in two or three different grades I was in. But yeah, I guess it's
Yeah.
still a thing.
What was it? Was it for history class or what?
No, it was just like no, it was for math, or I guess maths
Okay.
as you would call it over there.
Yeah, yeah, with the
Um,
S. Yeah.
yeah,
Say
the
it correctly.
trajectory and equation. No, I'm just kidding. It was just an end of the year
Uh,
field trip.
gotcha. Yeah. I was just thinking of it almost like you're visiting like Roman ruins with the columns and the it's like here was the roller rink.
Yeah, yeah, just roller skating in Roman ruins.
They got like little flat pieces of wood with wheels, like primitive wheels on
Yeah,
and tiny horses.
I mean that kind of feels like the type of joke one of those old 2D DreamWorks movies would have made. Because like with Road to El
Right.
Dorado, we had like apparently they had like basketball in Central America, but it was sort of different.
Yeah. No, I remember that. That's a good movie.
Yeah,
I forget about that movie sometimes.
yeah,
I remember enjoying it.
yeah. It's a pretty fun movie. I think though, I think the ending of it feels kind of weird to me. Like it kind of just happens. I'm just looking at my letterboxed review of it, seeing like if there
Mm,
was some interesting way I might have worded it. Um, okay, yeah, the ending kind of feels all over the place to me, but everything up until that point is like pretty good, I would say.
right.
Um,
Yeah, I don't I it's been a while. So I can't I have no idea. How does it end?
so spoilers for a 25-year-old movie, everyone. But uh, the that one sorcery guy or whatever realizes that uh Miguel and Tulio are not really gods, and so he summons like this
Yes.
giant monster thing, and they somehow take it down, and there's like this moment where it seems like Miguel and Tulio are going to go separate ways and they're like mad at each other. But
Mm,
then like the Europeans are like heading to El Dorado, and so the people of El Dorado do this thing where they block off the entrance to the city, and Miguel and
mhm.
Tulio end up on the outside of the city away from all the gold, and they and their horse and what's her name? I forget what her name is. The only female character in the movie. Um, they they just end up like walking uh, toward like a new adventure or something, and
Right.
that's just how it ends.
It feels a bit kind of sudden, and like it doesn't really resolve everything,
Yeah, they'll
I
probably
guess.
die, you know.
Yeah, gotcha. Anxiety inducing.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen next? Because there's a handful of like 2D ones, isn't there? There's that, then there's Prince of Egypt, which I remember being good.
Yeah.
Is that's DreamWorks, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Joseph, King of Dreams, which I guess was kind of a prequel to that or sequel. Like I don't remember where it is
Okay.
in the lore, in the chronology. Um I think Sinbad might have been like their final 2D one up until Bad Guys 1 or in terms of feature films anyway. But yeah, so they do
Hmm.
this prologue and then the 5 years later thing because 5 years later is the in the first movie over here anyway they served like a 5 year prison sentence and then reformed themselves and took down Professor Marmalade, the guinea pig guy. And funny enough, in the first movie, they went to prison for arson, at least in the version in our universe. So
Right.
in the second movie, things are hunky dory. They're living life as good guys. And then they notice like someone else has done arson to a different building. And so this is our first little hint of the bad girls and sort of copying what they did in
Yes.
the first movie.
Yes. And they're very angry about their car
Yeah, yeah.
that they took for a joyride, and of course that sequence, then they go through the roller rink and then they drive it off a cliff. Uh and and then it
Yeah, just
smashes into a
Thelma
million
and
pieces.
Louise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They Thelma and Louise it. Yeah. But luckily we pan out and they're just clinging onto the side of the cliff, almost Indiana Jones style escape.
Yeah.
Just at the last minute.
Yeah, there's an episode of a recent show I watched where that also happens, but I think it would be a
Mm.
spoiler for me to say which show it is to the listeners.
Right, I see. Um, but before we get too far, right, there is that job interview sequence where they're trying to be good guys, but they can't get the jobs. I can't. Stephen, what was the job that Wolf was going for? That he was
Yeah,
was some sort of building job.
he was trying to become a specifications writer.
That was it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, I guess he doesn't want to go into doing the actual construction. He just wants to go into like writing out the specs for the buildings. And I mean, given that he's broken into buildings and burned
yeah,
down buildings, and even like blown down buildings by like, blowing on them like the wolf he is, like he seems like he would have some
yeah.
knowledge on that.
Well, you get that funny line because he's um he's trying to get a job. He's trying to do the job. It's the building is like the bank, right? And he's like, I know the specifications quite well.
Yeah.
I'm
But
already pretty familiar.
yeah, and he doesn't get the job because like the person interviewing him is a pig, but like a very salty one at that. So
A lot of bacon. A lot of
yeah.
bacon on that pig.
Yeah, I think his name was Kevin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really tough times for the bad guys trying to find jobs, which I guess was sort of like a little commentary on like, hey, even if you are a good person, it is really tough to
Mm.
get jobs in this economy, kiddos.
Yeah, well, deep down, this is really a film about prison reform. Um, and how we need to treat our convicts, ex-cons a little bit with a little bit more respect. You know, they've done the time. They did the crime, they done the time. Let them get on with their lives. Maybe they're good guys now.
Yeah, and it's quite fascinating that they would go this direction because you would think that with how they helped take down Marmalade in the first movie, that everyone would just be on their side, but this
Yeah.
is more realistic. How, you get like I know I always get annoyed when they show like the social media montages and movies, but they do it here and show that like some people like them, but other people are like, yeah, well, they were ex-cons, they did all these crimes, we
Yeah.
can't really trust them. So you have that sort of thing going on.
But we since we're with the bad guys, we know that they're feeling a lot of remorse for how they acted in the past. And that they just want to get on with their lives, you know?
Yeah, and they're feeling really sad and just listening to Fleetwood Mac songs like Dreams, for example. So, yeah, you got to get in that commercial radio song in the animated movie.
Yeah. How's that song go, Steven?
So I don't know the words, but I know that the singing style is like do 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 do. Dee, 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 dee. I probably should know the words,
Okay.
but given how many times I've heard it, but yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent description. I just don't know if I've heard the song or not still. Um,
yeah. I know at some point, one of the lines is "Now here we go again." I think it goes like that,
okay.
something like
Interesting.
that. Yeah, I know "Landslide" better than "Dreams" personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know many. I know they did the ones that are in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a famous one. I know that.
Yeah. But yeah, they're having a tough time. And of course, this arson things happen and people are pointing fingers at them. So they try seeking out the bad girls to try to, so that they can try to clear their name. And interesting casting for the bad girls in this movie. We got Danielle Brooks as Kitty Cat, who is the leader. It's a snow leopard. Um,
Hmm.
Natasha Leone, who's been doing a show called Poker Face, which is really good.
Oh yeah, I watched some of that.
Yeah,
Was it?
she
Yeah, yeah, the anthology one, the like Brian Johnson anthology one.
well,
Is that
it's
Poker Face
I
or is that
wouldn't
something else?
yeah, it's Ryan Johnson, but I wouldn't call it an anthology 'cause since it follows the same character, like her character, but
No,
it's
sure,
more of
but
a
like it's
like a
it's like
case
that
of the
kind of
week show. Yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, I think that is a better description of it. But like for the most part, it's separate casts. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's funny the different guest stars are able to get for each episode. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, here she plays Susan, who is a raven, and um, we also have Maria Baklava. I think that's how you pronounce it. Pigtail Petrova, who is a wild boar, not to be confused with the pig character we saw earlier. Just to be clear, what'd you think of the bad girls? Well, the way they're presented when we finally see them.
It's kind of like it's kind of like your classic Alvin and the Chipmunks kind of situation, right? It's like the mirror image of the bad guys. They're like they're on a similar sort of arc to the bad guys, but maybe a couple of steps behind, you know? Yeah, I like
Yeah,
them enough.
yeah, I thought they had some really witty banter. Susan, like the moment she sees Snake, she has like that love at first sight type of moment, in which was I guess people in my theater kind of got a laugh out of it, but I was just kind of
Yeah,
whatever about it.
you get a bit of a romance arc in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a raven and a snake, who would have known?
Well, of course, you kind of got that a little bit in the first one with the fox and the wolf.
Yeah, but I could see that to me makes a little bit more sense, whereas a bird and a reptile is kind of different, and there's even like a commentary, I guess, in this movie where someone sees Susan and Snake making out and is like, "Ugh, disgusting," and it's like, is this supposed to be a commentary on like people who are less tolerant about certain
Mm,
relationships between certain
mm.
people? Like, is that
Yeah,
what's going
it's
on
like
here?
yeah. Animal pride.
Yeah,
It's an interspecies relationship.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, the bad girls are like really mad about their car, and so because they hold a grudge, they uh, force the bad guys to get in on this job that they want to pull off. This other crime that they want to do, and
Yeah.
the way that they what was how did they convince them to like do this job and not just like walk away or tell the authorities or whatever?
Well, they said that they're gonna do it either way, and that they'll frame the bad guys so that that this very tenuous sort of good guy life that they've been leading is very much you know being put at risk by this new gang. That's pretty much the main thing.
Yeah, and so the bad guys are like, well, shoot, if they frame us, it'll be tougher for us to get jobs.
Yeah,
Because,
it's going to be even harder to get the jobs that we already don't have.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe a bit of a logical flaw there, Stephen. I don't know. I don't know what the writers were thinking on this one.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the writers are trying to say something interesting, but maybe they could have done another draft of
Yeah,
this script.
it's a
Um,
little bit at odds with the whole prison reform stuff.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they should have been given more time to write this
Yeah.
and animate this instead of just like just give the people working on these the time that they need.
Mm, mm. So they're convinced to do the job, and where does the job? Whereabouts do they go for the job? Because they're
Yeah,
like
so
robbing somewhere, right?
yeah, so the job is, because they really miss having that car, they want an alternative. So they want to steal a tractor, but not just any
Ah,
tractor. This is like the best damn tractor in the world. It's like super
state of the art
expensive.
luxury tractor
Yeah, and
from the farming convention. Yeah.
it's like chrome, it has cup holders, it's got the works. um and it's even got like rocket launchers for some reason.
Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. Well, tractors, sometimes there's a cow in the way, and it just won't move. It just won't move.
Move. Yeah, I recently watched rewatched Neighbors, and they made that joke in that.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh. There's a big sort of action sequence where they're driving this tractor away from all the farmers, and the farmers are running out with their pitchforks. They're all kind of different farm animals like sheep, cows, um, maybe one or two horses.
yeah.
Um,
There was a rooster in there somewhere.
yeah, there was a rooster. That's a fun sort of little gag in there that they have a rooster jumps on the tractor and it's just making a lot of noise.
Yeah. And the bad
Calling it
guys are
the
like wearing
oh
these facial hair disguises, which I don't know how people are
yeah,
convinced by these, but apparently they are.
almost a Groucho Marx sort of your classic glasses and mustache.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I thought this was an interestingly animated scene, and they drive through the cornfield and stuff and do that Chicken Little joke of like making crop circles
Yeah.
as they run over stuff.
Yeah, because they're sort of veering around in like donuts. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he
and so,
makes a big old pattern. That's coincidentally though, that then leads into something later on because they end up going up into space, right? How do they get up into space? What I don't remember what happens there.
yeah, so what happens is Professor Marmalade, who got defeated in the first movie, and that they even make a joke where they're like, what even happened to wait, Marmalade is back? I thought he died. And it's like, no, he didn't
Yeah.
die. Like you're
No,
misremembering.
he didn't die. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah. He became Elon Musk in the and became very obsessed with space travel.
yeah, so his prison sentence was pretty short for some reason. Like I guess he was able to buy his way out, and
Well, yeah, he's
um,
rich.
yeah, and people like
Yeah,
just believe him
yeah.
more. I thought he was more convincing in the whole reform thing, but really what
Well,
he
Donald Duck, the president of the bad guys universe, United States, gave him a pardon, I think. The
yeah,
not to be confused with the Disney's Donald Duck.
yeah, they had to like
It's a
spell
different Donald Duck.
yeah, they spelled his name differently so that they could get
Yeah.
away with it.
There's no C. It's just D UK. Donald
Yeah,
Duck. Yeah.
yeah, like D United Kingdom.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he
Um.
and he speaks more like you can understand what he's saying as opposed to the rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. 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 No. Absolutely. Very
Yeah.
orange for a duck as well.
Yeah, they had to make the feathers orange in order to differentiate him from the Disney one. Um,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the timing of this movie and that recent South Park episode is really something.
Yes. Yeah.
Marmalade is he is in charge of this space program or is like involved with one, and he like wants to launch this shuttle, but it is secretly like some sort of missile, I guess you'd pronounce it, um
Yes.
which will like devastate a huge chunk of civilization, and that's basically his
Right.
revenge. So the
Yeah,
bad
he's using his rocket program as a front to construct what is basically a nuclear missile.
And the way the bad guys and bad girls find out about this is, when they drive the tractor, they try to look for some abandoned building to hide out in, and so they find one. It's the pottery place from the first movie, which is still like broken and run down, but in there, like they realize it's Marmalade's like secret safe house place, away from the space program stuff. And there
Mm,
they find the specs for the shuttle missile thing. And because Wolf like knows about specification writing, he knows like what's
right.
going on here,
Yeah.
and that what
But
Marmalade's up
we
to.
knew it from the montage that he's done all that research for the job that he didn't get.
Yeah. And so because of this, like there's this whole debate where like the bad guys are like, well, we gotta stop this, and the bad girls are like, it's not our problem, we'll just like go to some other country. And
Right,
that,
because that by that point they've given up on like stealing. They've sort of progressed to the relationship with Snake has made them want to do less bad things now. And now they're good. Now they're also good girls. Like the bad guys are bad good guys.
yeah, like there's this whole speech that they make where they're like, we may not like what's going on here, but instead of running, we can stay and try to make things better. And it really feels like they're trying to like inject
Yeah.
commentary there, like this country sucks, but while we're here, we should try to make it better, undo all the bad things and stuff like that. So yeah.
It's really a commentary about how America treats its prisoners, right? Its convicts.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, now the convicts have to do all the work and the convicts have to save everyone. And it's like, well, what are they, what are they getting out of it?
Yeah, it really is that scene in The Dark Knight where the prisoner is the one who saves the day on the boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, once they're all on the same page, they go to the shuttle and it's already launching, so they try climbing onto it in an attempt to dismantle it. What'd you think of this whole sequence here?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm trying to remember how did they launch themselves up onto the rocket, onto the nuke? Because they didn't get they have this moment where they're like running towards it, right? But it's already launched. So they're like, well, we gotta get onto the nuke so that we can dismantle it. Um and oh yeah, so they find a helicopter, like a decommissioned helicopter, and one of them knows how to fly it, and they have this whole like
Yeah, Diane Foxington has experience with that, so she helps them to
right, that's
fly it.
right.
Yeah.
She kind of like shows up. She's like, I know how to fly a helicopter. And
Yeah,
so they all go up, they get up in the helicopter, they catch up with the missile, they all jump. It's a bit of a nail biting scene because it's like, oh, that's a pretty long way down if they don't get onto the missile. Um, so yeah, they get onto the missile, and there's like a big control panel. Um, but then robots come out of the side of the missile that are like controlled because Professor the guinea pig man, what's his name?
Marmalade.
Professor Marmalade has like he anticipated that maybe the bad guys would be able to get up in a helicopter and jump onto the missile to disarm it. He thought about this eventuality, so he installed his missile with like security robots that um, they all had like giant hands and a grappling hook on their back, which made for a very bizarre sort of action sequence where they're all just sort of like jumping around these giant sort of hulking robots. Uh, yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I also forgot to mention that Raven, for much of this movie is unable to fly because of some injuries from some past chase. But during this sequence, when Raven is thrown down and it seems like it might be over for her, she is actually able to fly again. So I guess she's like healed from her wounds or whatever.
Yeah, it's like her character arc is uh heal from your wounds and then you can fly again
And kiss a snake.
and kiss a snake. Yeah, maybe that will help.
I
It
mean,
was a little bit odd when the robots stopped halfway through to have a pride festival. Um, you know,
Yeah.
We got to celebrate the whole spectrum, including robots. And I think it's important that robots have a space where they feel like they can express themselves and yeah, just to have a whole bunch of fun. So it was a welcome inclusion. I just wish the dance party had sort of ended a little bit sooner because it was
Yeah.
starting to get a bit long.
Yeah, and I mean this is how they end up stopping this whole missile is, once they realize that the robots have pride, they realize that the robots are people too, convicts are people,
Hmm. These are
interspecies
important messages for children to learn from
in,
a
in
young age.
interspecies characters are people, and so once they have like the big speech about that, they are able to talk the robots into not nuking the world
Right.
because then there
Yeah.
won't be any room to party. And so then the robots are able to like dismantle the missile themselves.
Yes.
And
And Marmalade's a little bit angry about that. He's controlling the whole thing from City Hall, but he's like, ah, foiled again. And it turns out that the bad guys had armed a little detonation device underneath him, which ends up blowing up like most of City Hall, but it's worth it because they murked uh uh their biggest the greatest enemy. So it was a little bad moment for the good guys, but you know, is it that bad if you kill a evil hamster? I don't know. I don't know, man.
oh, guinea pig. But yeah,
A
I get
guinea
what you
pig.
mean. Yeah, I guess it's that question that moviegoers will walk out wondering about
They're
in
morally
this
gray characters, Steve.
in this movie made for kids.
Yeah, well, look, kids are gonna learn from a young age
Yeah.
about the moral dilemmas that face our society. So it's a very complex tapestry of ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have like the obligatory, throughout this whole movie, Wolf and Diane, they've been having like a relationship as well, but like Wolf would have to like hide the fact that he's helping the bad girls and all the stuff going on there. But you get the obligatory like apology scene where he's like, I'm sorry and it won't happen again. And then, she forgives him and whatever. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, we
then,
just had to kill that one guy. And she's like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
he was pretty evil. So we're glad that his guts were all over. Yeah, I thought it was a bold decision to really show the guinea pig guts. But you know, it's pushing boundaries.
yeah. And we also cut to Donald being like, no, I wanted this whole
Yes.
country to be destroyed, but then someone
Yes.
caught him
Yeah,
saying
because
that
this is
on their cell phone, and that spreads like wildfire. And he actually,
yeah.
perhaps unrealistically, faces consequences in
Yeah,
this.
because Donald Duck gets impeached. Yeah.
Yeah, he gets impeached. Things seem to be going well now, and you get the obligatory dance party ending, and they're dancing to like
Yes.
by
Robots.
cold, yeah, with the robots. And they dance to, well, I think it was Sparks by Coldplay. Kind of.
Yes. No, I think you're correct. It's a bit of an odd, bit of a bit of a downer song to end things on, especially for a
Yeah.
dance party. But look, it's an experimental choice, and I appreciated it. Um, yeah, I was glad that the bad girls gave the tractor back to the farmers. That was a very good gesture. And all the farmers were like, well, we were actually pretty impressed by how you drove that tractor. And that brings full circle. And they all get a job in the agricultural
Yeah.
industry. Um, and they all are given by the city like a plot of farm that they can then have that's their job now. They're all farmers. So they give up their lives of crime for good this time, to go out and live on the farmstead.
Yeah. And really showing that living or and working away from the city is the way to go, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See,
And
yeah, you've got that's another theme is urban versus rural. Stephen, there's so many themes in this film.
yeah. Yeah, what a film. Yeah, who needs that Animal Farm movie when he got this, you
Yeah,
know? The
yeah,
Seth
yeah.
Rogen Animal Farm movie.
Well, I don't remember Farm ever having any heists in it, so immediately this is better.
Exactly. And yeah, so they basically, through the end credits, they have like 2D animations of the character designs. Um, and the fans have been like making memes because of that Coldplay dance party scene, connecting it to like the recent Coldplay concert fiasco and taking screenshots
Yeah,
of animal characters and being like, oh, are they together? Like the snake and the raven,
yeah, yeah,
like the on like the screen thing. I thought that was pretty funny.
yeah. It was pretty good. That was pretty good.
But yeah, did you have anything else you want to bring up before we go into final thoughts and scores?
No, no, not really. It was another sort of quite strange offering from DreamWorks. I feel like it got weirder as it went along, as always, Stephen.
All right. So, what are your final thoughts? Score out of 10, and do you know of measurement for that score?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10, and I'll give that 7 tractors. 7 tractors out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I think I'll give it like 7.25, like 7.25 um exploding shuttles. Um yeah, it was a strange movie. It had interesting things to say, but could have perhaps had another revision to really fine
Right.
tune some stuff.
You think it
So
maybe needed to be a little bit more focused?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um I liked the bad girls characters. I thought they were fun. But yeah, the plot was just kind of weird in places.
Yeah. Well, I did feel like it injected something quite fresh into the franchise. Um, but yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and we've had like a special or two, like holiday specials with the bad guys, so who knows if they'll make more. DreamWorks is always making something, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, we'll see if it's successful.
All right, well, thanks for joining me again, Max. Where can people find all your stuff?
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, Stephen. You can find pretty much everything on at Nockstar L. That's Nockstar L with two R's on the top. And that's on Instagram and YouTube. I make animations and I draw things and comics and all sorts of stuff. So if you like cartoons, you might like what I do. Yeah. Thank you, Stephen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. And without further delay, have a good day. All right, so funny enough, the day that we recorded this, there was a new trailer released for Zootopia 2, which I guess you could say is in kind of a similar vein, anthropomorphic animals, law enforcement, all that type of stuff. The trailer was pretty good. I really loved the first movie, and I enjoy the characters of Nick and Judy. I'm sure there are some fans, who ship them, who are losing their minds over the trailer. I don't necessarily need them to be together, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they do end up. But I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, New Zootopia and the Snake character is apparently a big deal, so very curious about that. I'm not sure yet if I'll see it in the theater when it comes out in November. Might hear what people say about it first, but yeah, that's something to look forward to. Anyway, my other self will be here in a moment to talk about what he's been watching lately. But in the meantime, you can email delayedreplaypodcast@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on farming, I guess. Go to stevenshinder.com for info on my standalones and stepping stones novels. Would really appreciate the readership and the reviews and such. And you can follow me at the social media listed in the show notes. And also find me on Yes Shift, a podcast/vlog I do with my dad related to the band Yes. We recently reviewed Yes's second album, Time and a Word, and we have other stuff coming up, other guests, other discussions. We've been working out dates and times for those, so check that out. And check out Drum Talk TV Brilliance, which is for all music fans. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it from my end. So without further delay, here's my other self. Hey everyone, Steven from that other universe here. So I recently watched a show on HBO called The Comeback, and this stars Lisa Kudrow, who played Phoebe on Friends. She plays an actress of a different name, Valerie Cherish, I think is her name, who starred on a sitcom and is now trying to do a comeback. And this was a year after Friends had finished. The first season of the comeback, anyway, came out 2005, and it's in the mockumentary format. Like, the premise of the show is that a documentary crew is following her around, sort of documenting her comeback, and we see how the documentary filming itself affects her personal life, especially in the second season, which came out in 2014. There was quite a gap, and this was pre Hollywood shakeup, 2014, so 3 years before 2017. And with a third season announced for next year, I'm very curious what the third season could touch on in this era of, film and television and acting and such. But yeah, the show is very fascinating. I'm surprised I haven't really seen anyone else talk about it as much as people have talked about Curb Your Enthusiasm and the like. There is a mention of Matt LeBlanc during season two, which is weird because Lisa Kudrow is not playing Lisa Kudrow, but there's a mention of her friend's co-star, who I think it was in reference to Matt LeBlanc playing himself on episodes. Or was that the show? Yeah, I think that was the show where he plays a fictionalized version of himself years after Friends has finished. So yeah, that aspect is kind of weird, but definitely a fascinating show worth watching, and I'm awaiting season three next year. Um, yeah, so there's that. On the animation side of things, Eyes of Wakanda came out, the 4 episode miniseries on Disney Plus. I like the animation. There's still the Marvel What If style in there. Parts of the show kind of remind me of Arcane, but I feel like the show maybe doesn't make enough big swings to help it stand out. This is an anthology series, touches on a bit of Greek mythology, even, but I don't know. Maybe part of why, um, you know, I feel like they didn't really make a huge event out of this release like they did with Marvel's What If in the past, or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider Man, or X-Men 97. It feels like they just put it out because they're like, hey, we have this thing we finished, we gotta release it sometime, just get it over with. So I wonder if that kind of colors my enjoyment of it. But it also, I don't know, it doesn't really reach the heights of something like Predator Killer of Killers in my eyes. I was just super impressed with that film, that animated film. So I don't know, maybe Marvel just needs to try something different with its animated stuff if they're gonna do these anthology things. Maybe even go the Star Wars Visions route where it's a different animation style each episode. But I don't know. I haven't seen many people talking about Eyes of Wakanda, so it's like what happened here? What's going on? So I don't know. But for Spider-Man Day, they released a clip of Tom Holland wearing the current Spider-Man suit. I think this is the one he wore at the end of No Way Home. Uh, it looks great. I see people online are like picking apart the details of it, which I don't know how people can do that. Costume's a costume. To me, it either looks good or it doesn't. It's just whatever. Fantastic Four, the Fantastic Four First Steps. I watched that last weekend. I loved it. I'd give that a 9 out of 10. I put out a video on my YouTube channel, Steven Shinder Reviews in video form, which talks about both Superman and the Fantastic Four First Steps. So go ahead and check that video out. It's non-spoiler, but yeah, I really loved how this felt like the best adaptation of the Fantastic Four to the big screen. And it made sense that they set it on its own Earth. I love the retro futurist aesthetic. Human Torch was not a jerk ass like the Chris Evans version. So yeah, definitely worth watching. Go see it in the theater. I see posts online saying that even though Superman and Fantastic Four are making money, they're not performing as well as expected or desired, and I'm wondering like what's going on here, if there's something that needs to change, but I don't know. They're both great movies worth watching, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe something just needs to change, and I do not know what really. Other newer movies I've seen. Well, last time I was here, I mentioned the Phoenician Scheme, and I was in the middle of it. I think it's okay. There's something about the way the characters talk, the dialogue that feels off to me. I mean, I guess that could be a lot of Wes Anderson films, but yeah, it felt kind of just okay. Some Wes Anderson films I like more than others. I also watched Drop, the thriller that takes place in a sky dining restaurant place and involves cell phones. There are some things about it that I thought were kind of silly. And I think that type of premise overall, I'm just kind of tired of it. I thought it was okay. Um, but yeah, then, later, more recently, I watched Final Destination Bloodlines, and I know Greg really loved that movie. He gave it like a 9 out of 10, I think. But for me, it's more like a 6, like a couple of the other Final Destination movies. I'd give the first and fifth one 7s out of 10. 2 and 3, and this new one are six is, and four is a five. It's the worst one. Um, yeah, I think the Final Destination franchise, I'm just not that big a fan of it. A lot of the deaths feel too goofy, and you know how the ending is gonna go, uh, and I don't feel as invested as I do watching the Saw movies for some reason. I think the Saw movies have more going for them, so yeah, but it was kind of funny how this sixth one begins with a sky dining setting as well. If it was, I, I was kind of taken off guard by that, but yeah, it was okay. I did consider giving it a five because of how not so invested I felt, but I felt like I couldn't in good conscience because it's not on the low level of four. So yeah, it was kind of just okay, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's it from me. Oh, I did see Death of a Unicorn. That's also kind of a newish movie. That one's a five. I was pretty meh on it. You know, Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, good actors, but that movie felt like a slog, and I just didn't really connect with it all that much. Um, and there's this other movie I watched that I guess came out maybe late last year called I Love You Forever. I thought that was okay. The ending felt too abrupt. Like, I'm glad that it sheds light on toxic relationships so that people who watch it can recognize them in real life. But yeah, the ending just felt too abrupt. So yeah. Um, so I guess that's it from me in terms of newish movies and recent TV watching. Oh, I'm halfway through Dexter Resurrection, I think. I'm like five episodes in. I think it's a 10 episode season. And I actually am enjoying it, I'll admit. So I'm curious if by the end of it, I'll maybe be walking back on, what I've said previously about how like this doesn't need to be done, but we'll see. It's really interesting the guest actors that they have for this season. I do still think it's maybe a little too much, like occasionally referencing past killers from the original series. But yeah, I'll see how the rest of the season plays out. So that's it from me. Delayed Replay will be back in 2 weeks. So without further delay, have a good day.